Hey everyone, it's May and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Century Child by Nightwish. I am so excited to dive into this album. I have so much to say. So let's just get right into it. If you haven't seen my videos before, I have done all of Taria's solo albums and the Nightwish discography so far, doing these breakdown review videos where I kind of talk about my opinion on each song and do a deep dive into the lyrics. So if you haven't seen my other videos, please go check them out and please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. Okay, so Century Child is Nightwish's fourth album, their main fourth album if you don't count Over the Hills and Far Away. There are 10 tracks plus 2 bonus tracks and some live versions thrown in there at the end. With this album, you can hear a very distinctive shift in the music. Angels Fall First is kind of its own thing, and then I think Oceanborn and Wishmaster sound fairly similar, but then this is where the music really shifted, and you can also hear a change in Taria's voice. She definitely sang with kind of a different style for this album, and then going forward using less of that classical style. She said she only used about 1/3 of her vocal capacity, and you can hear more of a orchestra and like film score feel, which is what Thomas was going for. They actually had like an orchestra instead of just like their instruments. So with the band there was a lot of drama that went on in between Wishmaster and this one. They had to fire Sammy, who was their previous bass player, and Taria was saying that the next album was going to be her last album with them, and so Thomas was like, this isn't gonna work, like the whole band's gonna break up. And he went on this hiking trip with his friend, and then everyone like took some time apart and they finally decided to try to keep it going. But there was just a lot of turmoil and you can definitely hear that on this album, and so they got Marco as their bassist and as a singer, so we get that kind of new layer on this album as well with the male vocals. I love Marco. I'm so sad that he left. Like when I first started making these videos, I did not think that it would be like Marco being in Nightwish would be a thing of the past. Like I thought, it's just sad. But anyway, we have so many wonderful albums with his voice to enjoy. Anyway, according to Thomas, Wishmaster was more of a positive album, but he was really pissed off at everything when writing Century Child. This is a direct quote from him. "I have never been more tempted to use the word as when I was writing the lyrics for Century Child." As always, everything I, say is from the Once Upon a Nightwish book, so that's if you want to check my source. And in general, the lyrics are much more personal and just dark than they were on Wishmaster, because as I talked about last time, Thomas said that was like the least personal album, and like Dead Boy's Poem was kind of the only personal one, and everything else was kind of not so much. So this is what Thomas says at the beginning of this album: "A musician's work is always a mirror of his personal life. Sometimes it's so revealing it can be scary. By the time I got to writing Century Child, days of happiness were well and truly over, making it the darkest album in the band's history to date. It's also the only one of our records that follows some kind of a theme. Century Child is a dumping ground for the emotions, a defense mechanism against the world, from the dead end of Slaying the Dreamer through to the hopelessness of Ocean Soul, although every dream hints at the promise of light at the end of the tunnel. Losing faith and love is bearable. Losing hope is the end of everything." And I just think that encapsulates everything so much, and that's why I think I have so much to say about this album, and why I like it so much is because there's such a strong theme, which is the end of innocence. Thomas had said kind of with Wishmaster that was when they lost their innocence, because before that they were just doing this for fun, didn't really have any kind of expectations, but then with Oceanborn came their first like success, and so it was work at that point. But this, after all the turmoil that happened, he's like, the days of innocence are completely gone. And I also have always seen a second theme threading through this album, which is unrequited love, and we're going to talk about that a lot too. Track 1 is Bless the Child, which is a fan favorite and one of their, probably, it's up there with their most popular songs. Sam Hardwick is the same boy, I guess he was still a boy, like he's like a teenager, who did the spoken part in Dead Boy's Poem, and he also does the spoken opening on Bless the Child. Let us get into the lyrics here. I think it is just such an epic way to start the album. I love it so much. So I will just read the lyrics here. "I was born amidst the purple waterfalls. I was weak yet not unblessed, dead to the world, alive for the journey. One night I dreamt a white rose withering, a newborn drowning, a lifetime loneliness. I dreamt all my future, relived my past, and witnessed the beauty of the beast. Where have all the feelings gone? Why has has all the laughter ceased? Why am I loved only when I'm gone, gone back in time to bless the child? How can I ever feel again, given the chance would I return? Chorus again, think of me long enough to make a memory, come bless the child one more time. I've never felt so alone in my life, as I drank from a cup which was counting my time. There's a poison drop in this cup of man, to drink it is to follow the left-hand path. Chorus, and then the spoken part at the end, where have all the feelings gone? Why is it the deadliest sin to love as I loved you? Now unblessed, homesick in time, soon to be freed from care, from human pain. My tale is of the most bitter truth. Time pays us but with earth and dust, and a dark silent grave. Remember my child, without innocence the cross is only iron, hope is only an illusion, and ocean souls nothing but a name. The child bless thee and keep thee forever. It's literally so much to unpack with the song. It definitely relates to just the vibe I get from the whole album. Like, end of innocence, those perfect days are gone, and kind of like almost wishing for death or just like an end to everything. I'm also just gonna kind of give a disclaimer at the beginning. I did kind of look at other people's interpretations on song meanings as well, but I feel like I didn't agree with that many of them, so it's mostly just gonna be my opinion, which as always is just my opinion. It doesn't mean that that's what one was intended, like it's literally just my thoughts, and as always I'm definitely open to other people's thoughts, but I'm just giving you my opinion. So in that first bit we get references not only to the cover art with the purple waterfalls, but also to other songs on the album. I guess with the cover art, I'm still trying to figure this out because later it mentions the black rose, which I think is what she's holding, and maybe the purple waterfalls are just like how he pictures innocence or childhood. Like I was born amidst the purple waterfalls. Like that's like that fantasy time for him, maybe. It says, dead to the world, alive for the journey, reference to Dead to the World, and then Witness the Beauty of the Beast, which is a reference to that song as well. The lines in this part are kind of just talking about things decaying more or less, like one night I dreamt a white rose withering, which could relate to the black rose, a newborn drowning, a lifetime loneliness. I think that this song is basically a result of that night of reflection that he talks about in that opening part when he says, one night I dreamt blah blah blah, because he says, I dreamt all my future and relived my past and witnessed the beauty of the beast. So when he's talking about why am I loved only when I'm gone, that's like him thinking about the future and how he's going to be remembered. And the one thing I did get from song meanings on this is that the child represents innocence, and I think that that is true for like the album, is like the child is like just a personification of innocence. It's not necessarily talking about him as a child, I guess you could interpret it that way, but like when it says the child, it just means like innocence. So I'm just gonna be going with that. It was basically just him thinking about the future, and then it's just kind of talking about the loss of innocence. Where have all the feelings gone? Why has all the laughter ceased? And then how can I ever feel again, given the chance would I return? Like given the chance would I return to that time, maybe? We get the unrequited love theme a little bit when it says, why is it the deadliest sin to love as I loved you? And I guess I'll just say it here, okay? This is gonna go in my later video when I talk about the lyrics, as I always mention. I'm gonna do it, I swear. To me, this album is just as much about that, because obviously I think that it's about Taria. Before, with the previous albums, like he thought that he still like kind of had a chance with her, but now on the Wishmaster tour is when she met Marcello, and now they're together, and so he knows he doesn't have a chance with her, and so it's losing that innocence too. Like it's not just like a fun crush, like he doesn't have a chance with her. He lost her. I really, really believe that. That is like a huge part of it too. And we have at the beginning when it says I was weak yet not unblessed, now at the end it says now unblessed, homesick in time, soon to be freed from care, from human pain, which is like that impending doom, that impending death. And then basically the last couple lines, without innocence the cross is only iron, hope is only an illusion, and ocean soul is nothing but a name. It's saying that when innocence is lost, those things lose their significance, kind of just tying into the fact that like when we're young, everything, you know, has so much more meaning or so much more happy for most people, and it was for him, like when you have that innocence, and so once that's lost, these things lose their significance. And that was a bit from song meanings too. Yeah, that was kind of all over the place, but there's just so much going on there, okay? Song 2, it's End of All Hope, and there's a really nice fade in directly from Bless the Child, End of All Hope. It just goes right into it. I love it. The song is super heavy. It's like a banger to jam out to. I did actually agree with someone's interpretation on song meanings for this one. They said that this actually could be a metaphor for Nightwish almost breaking up and essentially being reborn, which I had never thought of it that way before, which is so cool. And this song in general ties into what he says in the opening, that losing faith and love is bearable, losing hope is the end of everything. I will read the lyrics here. It is the end of all hope to lose the child, the faith, to end all the innocence, to be someone like me. This is the birth of all hope, to have what I once had. This life unforgiven, it will end in birth. So basically that verse is talking about just the loss of innocence again, to lose the child, the faith, to lose that innocence. But it is also the birth of all hope, to have what I once had. So I guess that might be referring to innocence too. But then basically what this person on Song Meanings was saying is that it will end in birth, like Nightwish is being reborn. No will to wake for this morn, to see another black rose born. Deathbed is slowly covered with snow. Angels they fell first, but I'm still here, alone as they are drawing near, and heaven my masterpiece will finally be sung. So we get that black rose again, which I think that just means like the rose once was white, like the innocence, and it decayed to black. And so it's like nothing is good and pure anymore. It's just another black rose being born is kind of what that means, I think. Angels, they fell first, but I'm still here is a reference to their first album, of course. And I think it kind of also means like recognizing his loss of innocence in himself. Like he's not perfect. He's not an angel. Angels fell first. The good people in his life went away, but he is still there. And he doesn't see himself that way, is what I took that to mean. And then it says, in heaven my masterpiece will finally be sung. And I think we kind of get that on a couple other songs on this album too, just like the sense that he'll never be satisfied with his work. Yeah, he's done this, made this band, and it's popular and it's helped a lot of people and it's like what he wants to do, but he's never gonna make that perfect song, I think is what that means. Like in heaven, maybe he'll finally get it right. It's what I kind of thought of there. And then the next two verses, wounded is the deer that leaps highest, and my wound it cuts so deep. Turn off the light and let me pull the plug. Dandelion without a face, death wish without a prayer, end of hope, end of love, end of time, the rest is silence. So I think just like overall, this is how he was feeling throughout that turmoil. Like he did not have hope anymore. And turn off the light and let me pull the plug basically is that impending death again, or wanting to end things. Apparently the dandelion thing is a biblical reference. I don't know. But yeah, basically saying it will end with birth is just going back to like now they're gonna keep going with the band and it's gonna be okay. And then end of hope, end of love, end of time, the rest is silence this is from Song Meanings basically. Like if you don't have that, then nothing matters. Like the rest is silence. Like it doesn't matter if you don't have hope. Alright, track 3 is Dead to the World. This is our first Marco feature, which I love. His voice just plays so well with their music and it adds a nice contrast to Tarja's vocals there. And I love the keyboard part in the song. It's epic. All the same, take me away, we're dead to the world. So this song overall, again, just connects to the theme of the loss of innocence, with the child representing innocence again, is what I'm going with for that metaphor or whatever. The first verse says, the child gave thought to the poet's words, gave comfort to the fallen, heartfelt, lovelorn, remaining yet still uninvited, those words scented my soul, lonely soul, ocean soul. From Song Meanings. Basically, his innocence made life make sense to him. That's what he's saying when he said the child gave thought to the poet's words, and it gave him his inspiration essentially for the music. And then gave comfort to the fallen, I think could be about how Nightwish has impacted and helped people. Like that was part of the reason why he was so determined to keep going with it, as it said in the book, like save people's lives. Like he had like a responsibility to keep going, not just for himself and following his dreams, but for all the fans. It's not the monsters under your bed, it's the man next door that makes you fear, makes you cry for the child. All the wars are fought among those lonely men, unarmed, unscarred. And so this was really powerful when it says it's not the monsters under your bed, it's the man next door. And basically that's saying, like, you think of scary made up monsters in the dark when you're a kid, that's what you're scared of, but as you grow up you realize that it's not that, it's just humanity. It's like the person right next to you who you thought was a good person until you realize something, you know? It's humanity. That's what there is to be afraid of. And I think that the child could be taken literally here, like makes you cry for the child. Like, it is the cruelty of people and the circumstances of our world that make you cry for today's youth. Like, it makes you sad that they're gonna grow up into it, is kind of how I thought of that. And then it says, I don't want to die a scarless man, a lonely soul, tell me now what to do. I studied silence to learn the music, I joined the sinful to regain innocence. This is completely my interpretation, and I don't know if other people agree with this, but to me, I think that that is actually realizing that he can't have stayed in that childlike innocence forever, even though this whole album is about mourning the loss of it and wanting to go back to it. Because if you just stay in that forever, you never really learn anything. And he says, I don't want to die a scarless man. Like, I don't want to die without having been through anything. That innocence can't last forever. You have to go out and have experience and make mistakes and become scarred to actually live a fulfilled life. Like, the innocence has its time and place, but it isn't meant to last forever. Those are like the main things I've had about it. The chorus is, Heaven Queen, cover me in all that blue, little boy, such precious joy is dead to the world. Heaven Queen, carry me away from all pain. We're all the same, take me away. We're dead to the world. Dead, silent, constant, yet always changing, my favorite view of this world. As he died, he will return to die in me again, weaving the cloth, giving birth to the century child who gave his life not for the world but for me, innocence reborn once more. Yeah, so the chorus is essentially just saying, you know, innocence is dead, and kind of wishing for everything to end. It's that wishing for oblivion or death again, like, carry me away from all pain. And then the second verse from Song Meanings is basically saying, the dead, silent, constant part, saying that earth is silent and people repeat the same patterns that are destructive patterns over and over, but also every day is different. So that's what it means by constant yet always changing. It's like the same patterns are being repeated, but yet every day is a new day and we have a chance to make different choices. And that change is really the only thing we can count on. And then this also connects to a lot of the other, you know, ideas on the album and previous albums, actually, that innocence will return when we die. And like, it's also, he connects that to the ocean a lot. Like, I think I was just talking about that with, I think, Deep Silent Complete on Wishmaster. Like, that's when we'll be back to that state. And that's probably why there's all this talk of the, like, impending death or wanting everything to go away. It's because he just wants to go back to that because he knows that's what is waiting in death. Okay, track 4 is Ever Dream. As you can probably already guess, I have a pretty good idea of what the song's about, and I'm gonna save like my full analysis and how it connects to Taria for my later video, but overall, I think it's just a perfect song that's just full of longing, and when you're in love with someone, you want everything with them, and that's what I get from the lyrics. It's just so beautiful, and like Tuomas said, it's like a little bit different than the rest of the album because it has a little bit of hope. Yeah. There's so much we're gonna unpack in that future video, especially that little dedication at the end. Yeah, that happened. We'll just talk about it then. My favorite version of the song is actually from End of an Era. I think that it has a lot more emotion and it's just like perfect. I like it better than the studio version. Anyway, next we have Slaying the Dreamer. This is potentially like, well, it's definitely like their heaviest song to date. I can't really think, maybe like Master Passion Greed, like there's like been other ones, but at this time this was like one of their heaviest, if not their absolute heaviest song. And we've got Marco with his part that just brings it to the next level. And it's just such a good song to listen to when you're angry, which makes sense because Tuomas wrote it after being really angry. In the Nightwish book, he explains that he was at a bar when Taria's friend came up to him and started yelling at him about how badly he treated her. He came home, wrote the song, and later deleted all the F-bombs. So I do believe that this song is at least partially about Taria and Marcelo. I think it is just like in general about people that pissed him off, but I think that they were included in that. I will save again that like particular connection for my other video, but I think that he did write this about like greedy people in general who just want to use him. I'm a priest for the poorest, sacrifice I'm but a raft in a sea of sorrow and greed. You bathed in my wine, drank from my cup, mocked my rhyme. Your slit tongues licked my aching wounds, put a stake through my heart and dragged me into sunlight. So awake for your greed as you're slaying the dreamer. Swan song for the wish of night, God it hurts, give a name to the pain, our primrose path to hell is growing weed. Blame me, it's me, coward, a good-for-nothing scapegoat, dumb kid living a dream, romantic only on paper, tell me why you took all that was mine, stay as you lay, don't lead me astray. I think that when he says dumb kid living a dream, romantic only on paper, it kind of connects back to Swan Heart and Dead Boy's poem a little bit. Like, he can only express himself through music. Like, that's where he feels in his element, like writing music, composing music, writing the music and the lyrics. And so romantic only on paper, like he doesn't feel that comfortable, that sure of himself in any other place in his life. And underneath it all, he's just a dumb kid living the dream. And then, yeah, Margot's part, wake up, mow the weed, you'd be nothing without me. Take my life if you have the heart to die. You bastards, tan my tool, rape my words, played me fool. Gather your precious glitter and leave me be. The great ones are all dead and I'm tired too. I truly hate you all. So there's a lot to talk about there with how that could relate to Tarja and Marcello, but just in terms of people in general that pissed him off or were greedy, it's like people that were just using him for his fame or just cared about him for like his fame and money and didn't care about the actual art is kind of how I interpreted that. Like, gather your precious glitter and leave me be, like all you care about is that flashy stuff and I don't, and just leave me alone. Track 6 is Forever Yours. In the Nightwish book, I was very surprised to read that Thomas said that he thinks this song, Ocean Soul and Feel For You, aren't quite up to par with the other songs on the album, but I have never felt that way. Like, I guess they're like simpler, but I don't think every song needs to be super bombastic. Like, Forever Yours has very few lyrics that are repeated, but I still think it's a super impactful song. I think it's so underrated. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I literally cried the first time I heard the song. The way Tarja's voice sounds on the song too, it's just perfect. Like, it's just so emotional. The lyrics are just so sad. And so this is just, I mean, I've never really heard a ballad of theirs that I don't like. It's just so sad. The lyrics are fairly well, little broken heart, downcast eyes, lifetime loneliness. Whatever walks in my heart will walk alone. Constant longing for the perfect soul, unwashed scenery forever gone. Whatever walks in my heart will walk alone. No love left in me, no eyes left to see the heaven beside me. My time is yet to come, so I'll be forever yours. The way this relates to other songs on the album is with Everdream and a part in Beauty of the Beast. It's kind of talking about this idea of like your long lost love or the person you're meant to be with. So I feel like in that way, a lot of people can relate to these songs, like if they've experienced unrequited love or just that longing for like their soulmate or whatever, even though I feel like Thomas was definitely writing them about Tarja, which, you know, I think the interpretation of this one is pretty obvious. Like, even though he lost her, he, you know, will always love her. So anyway, that's what I think of. I think this just be applied to like a lot of people's situations, like longing for someone you know that you can never have, or for the perfect soul, as it says, that you've never even met. Whatever walks in my heart will walk alone is one of my favorite Nightwish lyrics. The way he worded that is just so powerful and so sad. And I think that the chorus, the no love left in me, no eyes to see the heaven beside me, is just kind of saying that like this unrequited love has torn him apart so much. And the longing, it has just torn him apart and drained him so that his love has been used up and he can't even appreciate anything in life anymore. Track 7, we have Ocean Soul. And again, this just relates to those themes of yearning for a return to innocence. And in my opinion, this connects to other songs and themes on previous albums, that everything starts and ends with the ocean, kind of like on Deep, Silent, Complete, like I said earlier. So I will read the lyrics. One more night to bear this nightmare. What more do I have to say? Crying for me was never worth a tear. My lonely soul is only filled with fear. Long hours of loneliness between me and the sea. Losing emotion, finding devotion. Should I dress in white and search the sea, as I always wish to be, one with the waves, ocean soul. Walking the tide line, I hear your name, as angels whispering, something so beautiful it hurts. Chorus again, I only wish to become something beautiful through my music, through my silent devotion. Chorus again. Yeah. Oh my god, the lyrics are so beautiful and there's so much to talk about here, so we'll just start from the beginning here. I kind of get the sense, again, that it's about like yearning for a return to innocence, or just like the end of it all, one more night to bear this nightmare before this ends. Thomas has said, and it's kind of evident in his music, that he had like very low self-esteem, and I feel like this connects back to Swan Heart a bit, like seeing himself as an ugly duckling, which just... I love that song. Anyway, crying for me was never worth a tear kind of connects to that. We do get unrequited love undertones again with the long hours of loneliness and the part about I hear your name, angels whispering something so beautiful it hurts. Of course, I think connects to Tarja. Do I have to keep repeating this on everything? So he has low self-esteem and he tries to become something beautiful. So it says, I only wish to become something beautiful through my music, through my silent devotion. He sees himself as this ugly duckling, as this beast, but through his music, which, as it said in Enslaying the Dreamer, romantic only on paper. Like, that's how he tries to return to that innocence or to be something beautiful, to make his life worthwhile. And when it says through my silent devotion and the losing emotion finding devotion, this is from Song Meanings. Someone said like he was showing his like devotion to Tarja through this, like all of the songs that are for her, and like she inspires his music, and it is silent devotion. Like nothing's ever gonna come of it. He's just silently devoted to her through the words of the songs. I can't. Anyway, track 8 is Feel For You. On Song Meanings, people have a lot to say about this, and I have not found anything that I agree with. I have always had my own very firm interpretation of what the song is about, Tarja, and people have said like, oh, it's from a woman's perspective, or the part that Tarja sings is from a woman's perspective, and the part that Marco sings is from the man's perspective. Like we've got the dual perspective thing going on, kind of like in Beauty and the Beast on Angels Fall First. But I literally, from the very first time I listened to the song, I was like, oh boy. It is longing and also like frustration and anger. I remember just like playing the song on repeat while I got ready for high school. Because I just love jamming out to it. I do not think it is two perspectives. Why would a woman say about a man, only so many times I can say I long for you, the lily among the thorns, the prey among the wolves? That does not sound like it's about a man, okay? I don't think that at all. Like, just because you have Tarja and Marco singing different parts, that does not mean that there's two perspectives. This is all, okay, again, this is my opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their own interpretations, but to me, I think that this is all from Tuomas's point of view about Tarja. And the part that Marco sings is just the slightly angrier part. It's like Tarja's part is like the longing and Marco's part is like the anger. So full analysis coming in a future video. I will have a lot to say about this then. Track 9 is Phantom of the Opera. This is my all-time favorite musical. I know it's basic, but I swear I actually do really enjoy musical theater, and I know a lot of other musicals, and I've seen a lot of other musicals, even some really niche ones that most people have probably never heard of, but Phantom of the Opera is still my favorite. Second, which I know is really mainstream too. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Obviously, Tuomas didn't write the lyrics to this, and while the song itself, like the lyrics to this specific song, may not be that significant, I have a lot to say about how Phantom of the Opera in general relates to the unrequited love theme of the album. Like, I do not think this was accidental. I don't think Tuomas was like, oh, we'll just like throw that in there. Like, no. I think it was completely on purpose. Tuomas sees himself as a beast, like we talked about, and if you're not familiar with the story of the Phantom of the Opera, basically, well, there's a lot to it, but the Phantom is a man who lives under the opera house, and he wears this mask to cover up the distortion of his face, which also basically mirrors his soul because he's a bad person. Like, he's flawed because he, you know, terrorizes people and hangs them. He had a really rough past where he was bullied and beaten and always torn down as like this outcast. Not that that excuses his actions, but basically it's just like had a super flawed life and just like a rough past. But he is a musical genius, and he writes songs for Christine, who's the singer in the opera house, to sing, and he is infatuated with her and her voice brings his music to life. Does this sound familiar? Like, does this kind of sound familiar? Not that Tuomas had a rough past, but like the other part. Yeah, so I think when Tuomas saw, because I think it was before, like in between Wishmaster and Century Child, they like saw the play. I know I've mentioned it before, like that there were little references to it, like in Sleepwalker, and like I was like, is Passion in the Opera like a play off of it? So I think he might have been familiar with it before, but I think he actually saw the play. I think he said that somewhere, like in between Wishmaster and Century Child. I think when he saw it, he saw that, like he saw the parallels to his life and how he felt about Tarja, and that's why he decided to put on the album, because of course this song works so fucking well with her voice. And again, I prefer the End of an Era version to the studio version. The End of an Era version will go down in history as like the best thing ever. Cause like the way they arrange the song is just so good, with like adding those rock tones to it, and Marco's part. Oh, it's perfect. Like at the end of Gethsemane, without you the poetry within me is dead. Last line of Phantom of the Opera, you alone can make my song take flight. It's over now, the music of the night. Taria was the interpreter for Thomas's feelings. She was his muse. She was what he wrote his songs about. It just connects so well. Okay, anyway. Track 10 is Beauty of the Beast. I see this as kind of a prequel to Ghost Love Score. It has that epic structure where there's like multiple sections. Section 1 is called Long Lost Love. Trees have dropped their leaves, clouds their waters. All this burden is killing me. Distance is covering your way. Tears your memory. All this beauty is killing me. Oh, do you care? I still feel for you. So aware what should be lost is there. I fear I will never find anyone. I know my greatest pain is yet to come. We will find each other in the dark, my long lost love. So this is connecting back to like Ever Dream and Forever Yours, with like that desperation of like wanting to find your soulmate. The beginning verse, trees have dropped their leaves, clouds their waters, is kind of like that decay and like loss of innocence, if you will, connection again. And then it's just about longing for someone who I obviously think is Taria, but like it could be like the long lost love. And also it actually relates back to Dead Boy's poem too, when it says like my love letter to nobody, like not having that person, and he fears that he will never find that person that he's meant to be with. But like when it says, oh, do you care? I still feel for you, that shows me that like, yeah, okay, it's about like the long lost love, but like it's also about Taria, like that's specific. That's in the present, like there's someone specific that he's talking about. I have never been able to quite figure out what I know my greatest pain is yet to come refers to. Like, he didn't know that he was gonna fire her at this point, so it's not that, but like what is that? I don't know. It's what I've never been able to figure out there. So please let me know if you have an idea. There's an epic instrumental interlude between the first and second sections. I love this song. The second section is One More Night to Live. Safely away from the world, in a dream, timeless domain, a child dreamy-eyed, mother's mirror, father's pride. I wish I could come back to you once again, feel the rain falling inside me, cleansing all that I've become. We'll just start with that. It is a longing for a return to childhood and innocence. It's yearning for that time again. My home is far, but the rest it lies so close, with my long lost love under the black rose. You told them I had the eyes of a wolf, search them and find the beauty of the beast. It has that long lost love again and the black rose. I think that's what that is. That really looks like it. I'm trying to figure out what that line means and I don't really know. It's like the black rose represents the decay and the loss of something that was beautiful. So like, does that mean that his long lost love is just like unreachable? I don't know if it's something deeper than that. And obviously I think that this song is a play off of Beauty and the Beast because he sees himself as the beast. All of my songs can only be composed of the greatest of pains. Every single verse can only be born of the greatest of wishes. I wish I had one more night to live. A saint blessed me and drank me deeply, spitting out the misery in me. Still a sinner rapes 1,000 saints, sharing the same hell with me. Sanest choice in this insane world, beware the beast, but enjoy the feast he offers. So I don't really understand necessarily all of those lines, but just like in Ghost Love Score, it's like a self-aware song that's like talking about how he writes his music, and it's like saying that, I mean, it says it pretty clearly that like his music comes from pain, like painful things he's experienced or things that he longs for, which is, you know, kind of sums up this album. The second part of that is just kind of saying that like, since he's lost his innocence, he's done so many terrible things that he's gonna go to hell for what he's done, but he just wants to live for one more night because making music brings him so much joy. He just wants one more night to live. And then the last section is Christabel. Oh sweet Christabel, share with me your poem, for I know now I'm a puppet on the silent stage show. I'm but a poet who failed his best play, a dead boy who failed to write an ending to each of his poems. I think it's like a biblical reference, but of course I'm gonna be no help there. So I think that this is saying, again, like we talked about earlier, he's never gonna be satisfied with his work and his creative pursuits. He often calls himself a dead boy, like in Dead Boy's poem, so that's a connection back to that. But I also think that here it refers directly to his lost innocence. Just like talking about like how on this album, like the child was innocent, so like the dead boy, now that's dead. All he is like this shell of a person who once had that in him, is how I see that. And just like that he'll never be happy with anything that he writes, like truly satisfied with it, I think. And like the part about being a puppet, like he often refers, like I think it was in Stargazers, that life is just like a play or a show and like the greatest show on earth later. So I think it's like I'm a puppet on the silent stage show, like that's life. Maybe just because of like all the music business stuff, like he doesn't really have that much control over anything he does. Like maybe. I don't know. Very not confident in my interpretation of that. I don't know. And then we have the 2 bonus tracks. I'm just gonna go through kind of quickly. Lagoon has kind of a funky beat to it. I don't know how else to describe it. It's kind of different. I definitely say, I mean, I love every single song on this album, but I don't have super strong feelings about the bonus tracks. Like, they're fine. They're there. I don't know. I love Tari's vocals on it though. Imagine a perfect beach without a mermaid. Imagine a perfect hideaway without a time. Imagine a perfect Eden without a friend, without a serpent. Ocean soul, lonely soul, feeling lonely and content at the same time, I believe is a rare kind of happiness. Ocean soul, lonely soul. So it's kind of just like imagining places without people in them, but as someone on Song Meanings pointed out, the serpent was a false friend to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, so it actually would have been perfect like without it. So I don't really know what to make of that, but basically, and I just got this from Song Meanings as well, an ocean soul doesn't need other people or things to be happy, and that you can have 2 emotions at once. Like you can be lonely and content. It's not just one thing or the other. I don't know. And lastly, we have The Wayfarer. I think Thomas also pointed out that this doesn't really go with the rest of the album. This sounds actually out of place to me. Like it sounds like it should have been on Wishmaster. It reminds me a bit of Wanderlust with actually the music, the lyrics, and the tune. So if I was gonna skip a song, it would be this one. But it kind of does wrap up the album more or less lyrically. I went into the wilderness with Uncle Walt, which on Song Meanings people have said it could have been Walt Disney or Walt Whitman. I tend to go toward, but Whitman wrote about nature, so it really could be either. If you're taking it literally, then it could be Walt Whitman, but if you're taking it figuratively, I discovered the wild, learning to suck all the experience, seeing the world through cradle's bars. The wild blessed me with an errant mind, showing the way for the ultimate lore. I went around the world beyond the wild, finding my home from an ocean shore. So if you were to take this literally and be like discovering nature, then yeah, okay, Walt Whitman. But if you're taking it figuratively and being like finding imagination and wonder, then that would be Walt Disney. Because when it says like through the cradle's bars, that shows you that this is about when he was younger, like learning to cultivate his imagination, and Disney was a huge part of that, so that makes me think that it tends toward that potentially. Wayfarer, Heartlander, What If I Only Had One More Night to Live, clearly bringing that back to Beauty of the Beast. Home is Where the Way Is, My Road Goes On Forever, One More Voyage to Go, Wayfarer, Heartlander, What If I Only Had One More Night to Live, Dead to the World, Alive for the Journey. Then it just repeats the chorus again. Home is Where the Way Is, My Road Goes On Forever, One More Voyage to Go, Wayfarer, Heartlander, What If I Only Had One More Night to Live. Dead to the World, Alive for the Journey, da 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 da. It just repeats that, and then one more voyage, one more voyage, one more voyage to go. It brings in that dead to the world again. So I guess if I had to like give my interpretation of what dead to the world, alive for the journey means, because that's been brought up multiple times, is like the innocence is gone, but you still have to be alive for the rest of your life and deal with the real problems of the world, maybe. That's what I had to say about that. So as always, please let me know what you guys thought about this album. There's literally so much to unpack, and I definitely went over some of them less because I'm going to talk about them later. I'm already starting to plan out that video. It is going to be a long one. It might even have to be split into 2 parts. I don't know. I literally have so much to say, but it's fine. Next we will be doing Once. So much to say about that one too, so I will get working on planning out that one. And please give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching. As always, I love to discuss music with you guys. It literally makes my day when you comment and like want to discuss things, because that's why I started this channel. Anyway, I hope you're having a lovely day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.